to this special series on Let's Talk. And today we have someone who is really very inspiring, especially the journey. Very rarely we see in the industry, any industry, someone who progressed so much. Example, medical rep to the head of the company, the managing director of the company. I am talking about Hariram sir. Sir, thank you so much for taking out time for this conversation. And this conversation will be very helpful for all the people, those who are working into the pharmaceutical industry or maybe any other industry also, sir. Sir, kindly share about your journey.
Good. I think let's put it like this. In Telugu, there is a movie that has been taken called as Middle Class Abai, Middle Class Boy. That's what it is. So it is a typical story of a middle class boy whose initial aspirations was to complete, a post-graduation and then a PhD in a particular subject, which was relating to agricultural microbiology. And also who had the opportunity to go to US because I got the admission in Cincinnati University of Ohio for environmental toxicology. Right. As usual, no resources, no funding available, and there were nobody to support. And the family economic circumstances made me to look for a job and take up a job. And what best, at that point of time, that was the most respectful job, which was there, other than being a medical representative.
Yeah.
Right? It was certainly not a job, that I really wanted to. I never aspired, to become a medical representative, but compulsions, made me to look at that as the option. And fortunately, after first two interviews, one interview with the current Sanofi, at the time it was Hext, and the second, I got selected in CERN as a fresher, absolute fresher. I got selected, and my age was just 20. I had just completed 20. Well, excellent training, I must tell you. And even today, if I remember everything in anatomy and physiology, thanks to, my alma mater, CERL, that 28 days of grueling, training in Mumbai literally made us, be prepared for any segment or any therapy area.
Yeah.
Leave it, gastroenterology, leave it, take cardiology, take neurology, take psychiatry, take gynecology. My gosh, I think it was fantastic, I would say. Now, having got into the job, I think the first 6 months, Pankaj, was certainly a struggle, I would say, because it was not a job that I liked. Therefore, whenever there was problems, whenever there were challenges, whenever there were rejections, the first reaction that I had was go home, throw the bag and run away. But something next day morning when I wake up would tell me, Hariram, get up and go for work. Right. It was by the end of 6 months, I had somebody from Smith, Klein and French, those days SK&F. He was a regional manager and he met me in one of the train journeys to another place that I went, from Vijayawada. Talking to him, he was already a regional manager. And when I spoke to him, he was MSc Organic Chemistry. I said, if this man, MSc Organic Chemistry, could do this job so well and get promoted to regional manager, I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? Now, meeting him was a blessing, in disguise, and I would say it was a God's will. And from that time onwards, every Sunday, I used to sit with him, and interactions with him changed my whole perspective about the way I took the job on my head and on my shoulders. And I saw from then on, no turning back for Hariram. So then, my aspiration started. I said, I'm going to be one among the top 5 in terms of the representatives. Right. And believe me, by the end of 4th year, that is when I was 24, I got a call from my head office saying that you are one of the candidates being looked at for being the frontline manager. The designation was district manager. I showed this letter to my friend. and mentor. You know, today we use the word mentor. We didn't know at that point of time, but then this is what he was. He saw the wordings in the letter and said, Hari, I want to tell you that this letter is a formality. They have already decided about you. No, I didn't want to take it for granted. Went for the interview to Mumbai. And I was selected and I was told that, Hariram, you're going to be posted in Kerala. Now, I hardly had any idea about Kerala. I said, I'm willing to go at the age of 24, you know, who is bothered? I mean, Jao, because, you know, bachelor, go.
Yeah.
Well, I'll only share one experience of mine, you know, when I entered into Kerala. I went there and then started my first day. My boss from Chennai, whom I was reporting to, came. We had a meeting. There were 7 colleagues of mine I had as representatives. My territory was Kerala, total Kerala plus South Kerala and North Kerala, right up to Karwar. So he introduced me, you know, to my colleague MRs. And the first glance showed me that the average age of them was 42 years and Hariram 24, just the reverse.
Yeah.
Right. And the senior most guy was 48. And out of that, 5 fellows unionized. Ah, boy. Fine. Now, they uttered something in the local language, in Malayalam. Now, I couldn't, you know, decipher that. I kept quiet. The meeting went on. Most of the time, my boss conducted the meeting. In the night, I had dinner with my boss. I asked him, they told something in local language. Would you please tell me what it was? He said, no, Hariram, you know, I think you should not know about it. Don't worry about it, etc. I said, I want to know because I'm going to be working with these guys. So he said, okay, I'll tell you. They said, in the local language, they said, चला ये बच्चा है इसको 6 महीने में उड़ा देंगे हम. Now imagine a 24-year-old fellow going with all the enthusiasm and, you know, energy, and this is the statement I get from, you know, my people.
Yeah.
Though in army I didn't sleep. I just did not sleep for 2 days, and I was repeatedly thinking ki bhag jaun kya. But something happened on the 3rd day morning. I took a pen and a paper, you know, Pankaj.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember this. I was in a bachelor's room. I took a paper and pen, started writing. What if I run away? What if I stay on? No, nobody taught me this. It was common sense. And then I said, if I stay on, what should I do? So first thing I said is, I must work like mad with these fellows. Right. The second I said is, I should have good knowledge. I should have excellent skills. And if I combine all these 3 things, and then if I am able to add value to these fellows, I am 100% sure I will get the trust and I will be respected. Believe me, I wrote this down. वो जमाने में, you know, smartphone होता तो एक फोटो लेके रखता था. Now, the 6 months journey subsequently was that everywhere I went, I did not bother about, you know, some, you know, remarks, you know, that they made, or some of the union guys, you know, seeing me somewhere, you know, making some remarks, etc. I just said, let me do my job with these guys. And something happened, you know, by the end of 6 months. Yeah. Right. With one of my senior colleagues, where the doctor, the head of the department of cardiology in Trivandrum, wanted me to explain to his postgraduates something, you know, which I knew very well, and he saw that I was able to talk. So he said, Hariram, I want you tomorrow evening. I have my PG students, and you are the one who is going to explain on the board. I heard you talking to my juniors. You did a fantastic job. So when I told my colleague, he said, no, sir, you know, he doesn't like all that. He doesn't meet all that. I said, Baba, he has called. I have not told him anything. He has called us. You come along with me. Next day when I went, the doctor, you know, introduced me. And then, you know, when I explained on the board, he told his students that Echo, 24-year-old, layman, he is a BSc chemistry, botany, zoology guy. If he is able to explain so well, my dear friends, you all can do better. This is what he said. Now, I thanked the doctor, and then he asked my representatives, have you got the product available in the market? This fellow said, yes, sir. And then, it's all history, whatever that happened. Now, when I came out, I saw first thing is the body language of my colleague changed. Now, after a week, we had a sales meeting. When I entered into the sales meeting, I saw the body language of all the fellows also changed. Right? Because this fellow has spoken to them. So, a lot of people, share with me, in any of the meetings that I go, now also when I address people, etc. Sir, I've got a lot of seniors. How do I handle them? Simple funda, work. Your, work and your leadership quotient increases. Number two, help them with your knowledge, help them with your skills, and you will find, that they will follow you where necessary. It takes time, but you must know how to do it diligently. Simple one.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Right? And 4 years, believe me, they really, really helped me to become successful.
Yeah.
And even today, the guys who are alive, they are in touch with me. And I feel a little, embarrassed when I meet somebody and then they touch my feet. I said, don't do that. You are elder to me. Right? You must do that. Now, this 4 years journey, and I must tell you one thing. This 4 years journey as the district manager, Pankaj, was the one that laid the foundation for becoming an effective manager in my life. The subsequent positions I held on was just only an extrapolation. The fundamentals, I learned, nobody taught us, learned in a hard way by falling down, getting up, through books, listening, to people talking, learned and practicing them, when there is an opportunity. Right? Then, at the age of 27 and a half, 3 years, 45 months, 7 months, I was there. I was promoted as the second line manager and I was brought to Mumbai. It was my headquarters. Unfortunately, all this time I was a bachelor, so there was no problem. And my journey in Mumbai started, therefore, in 1981. Right? And that was another, pivotal point, I would say, because those days, the second line management position was a very, very strong position. It had both administrative as well as operational responsibilities. And we had almost a mini office, that supported us to go through the whole thing. And since I was based closer to head office, a lot of people said that I'm actually in a death knell. But to me, it was a great opportunity because anytime I could walk in even into the CEO's room. That's the advantage I had, because when he sees me in the corridor, he says, Hariram, come here. What is happening in the market? How are things going? Where do you get such opportunity? Right? And this particular position also gave me an opportunity being in the head office. Whenever there were training programs, for freshers and, people for refresher programs, I would be invited to come and do the training for them. Now, this brought me into a public speaking platform because it was an excellent opportunity. So I always tell people, one thing, the fundamental point that I tell is opportunities are not where, it does not come to you. You have to go to it to get it. And second thing is opportunities, problems are opportunities in work clothes. You must know that how to utilize the problem into an opportunity. So after that, in 1988, when RPG, took over, subsequently with changes, etc., at that point of time, I moved as one of the founder, members, taking responsibility of launching, Crosslens,
Yeah.
right? The company that really established, dermatology and orthopedics. And today, you can find brands like Absorb, Volini Gel, and, all those are famous brands, which Sun Pharma is handling now.
Yeah.
Right. So I moved launching, West Zone, in Crosslands. And that gave me a flavor of how to, work with a new organization.
Mm.
And what do you do with the limited resources? So one of the factors, that I worked upon, in Crosslands was, apart from the products that we had, and the marketing, strength, that we had, I made sure that every single person of mine, team member who is working with me, they become the differentiators in the marketplace.
Mm.
People talk about the products differentiation. I said, I will make people differentiation.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when any of my team member goes to the doctor, if the doctor is busy, he would say, I want to meet you for 10 minutes. Can you come at 2:30 or can you come at 9:30? I made sure it was done. Right? Approaching the chemist, I made sure, it was done differently.
Mm-hmm.
And, the pride of working in creating the demand, and therefore a secondary sales based approach, the seed was sown at that point of time very clearly to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in your primary sales. I'm interested in your secondary sales, because that exactly tells me what is the demand that you have created.
Yeah.
Fundamentals, right? Now, there I must say that I had the exposure not only of working with East Zone, also North Zone. And subsequently, when a new division was launched called as GLAT, Global Alliances and Technologies, initial stages, I was not involved in it, but subsequently, when they found, it is not going the way it has to go because of the good investments that took place and excellent products they had, they sent me on a short stint to Chennai to turn around, South Zone. I did that, came back, and then I was taken as a national sales manager, based in Mumbai for GLAT.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was the time, I must tell you, that they had a JV with the company called Galderma, which ultimately, I got into. And that gave me an opportunity to work closely with the Galderma corporate. Right? So, as I was heading GLAT division, the company was sold to Ranbaxy. And in the context of Ranbaxy, therefore, they had a small, merger of both GLAT and Crosslens, because they wanted to optimize, whatever it is. And I headed, Crosslens total with 350 people as general manager sales. And in between, I've had stints of marketing, etc., that I have gone through. And at some point of time, Galderma decided that they would like to separate from Ranbaxy, and they wanted to set up their own shop. And I'm not surprised if their eyes fell on me. So I joined them initially as business development, general manager, because there was a French expat, we had but it was very clear that the French expat would go back after 1.5 years. So as expected, he decided to move out, by 2000 end. I joined Galderma March 1999. And I was called to the corporate, interviewed, and then I became the managing director of the company from 2001 onwards. And the rest is history. That's what I would say. And I retired on 31st March, 2012.
Yeah. Very inspiring, sir. I personally believe, sir, especially into the pharmaceuticals, the initial days are very, very important days. So I also remember, sir, when I started my career in pharmaceuticals, I was working in a very small headquarters in Madhya Pradesh called Khandwa. And there was a highly egoistic doctor and very learned doctor also, Dr. S.S. Chauhan. He never allowed people to come and sit for a longer period of time. He said, gentlemen, you have 10 seconds, 20 seconds like this. So having that level of, the knowledge. So I was very new to the industry. I went to him. I said that how to, it was my initial days of understanding the industry. I asked him simple question. Sir, I have seen in your clinic many people comes and they spare time with you and you allow them to discuss for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and many of them not even for a single second, sir. They come to inside your clinic and then they move out. Then he said very simple thing, sir. Pankaj, people makes a difference. I don't look for companies. I do not know company what the company is, but the people, whatever they are talking, and are they really adding value to my knowledge? As you said, sir, that you are so young, sir, 20 years of age, and you are able to, talk to the doctor regarding, doctor has invited you for use for something, for their juniors. So the knowledge, this is completely full of knowledge industry. Then that day, sir, I also took this, promise to myself. Whenever I'll be meeting a doctor, I'll be meeting something new information every time, which will add value to my customer. And that's why we can, have respect, in the society and then in the community. And once you are respected in the doctor's chamber, your colleagues, your peers will automatically, they know about your expertise and the knowledge. Very
Absolutely.
rightly said, sir.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Sir, now coming to the whatever journey you shared, sir, it's really very inspiring. Uh, this podcast will be very helpful for all the pharmacy students, those who wanted to start their career into the pharmaceutical marketing, or maybe the current, the reps and the managers, sir. Sir, what should be the right mindset of a people, sir, when they really aspire to become from a medical rep to the general manager or maybe the head of the company?
Yeah. I think, as I mentioned to you, before you started the recording, Pankaj,
Yeah.
what I say is, whatever we are doing, currently, we must make it effective.
Mhm.
See, merely saying, I'm not getting promoted or I want to get promoted, and, I will not, I've lost my motivation because, I'm not, being promoted. It doesn't help. You are only further digging your grave. Whatever you are doing, you got to be effective in that. You got to be relevant in that. Right. And one of the famous quotes, that I have always remembered and I continue to remember even today when I face challenges in my current, situation that I'm in. This was quoted by this fellow, Jim Rohn. And he clearly says one thing: don't wish for anything to be easier. He says very clearly, wish you are better. The next point that he says is, don't wish for less problems. He says, wish for better skills or more skills. Don't wish for less challenges, wish for more wisdom. So this is the funda that I follow, in every situation. Rather than saying, I wish it is easy, I wish, there are no competitors, I wish there are no challenges, right? If we therefore, one of the important mindsets that we need to have, right? How do you approach something? Difficult, easy, moderate, whatever you call it. What are the three things that I can do if I have to make this better? I call this as approachable goals. If we keep talking about ये क्यों नहीं हुआ, ये क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, तुमने ये क्यों नहीं किया, it's not. How long will you keep doing that? You are only putting, the leg on your brakes, and you are still expecting the vehicle to keep moving forward. Please release your mind from that brake and start thinking about what are the three things that I need to do to take this forward. Second mindset, which I feel very important. The third mindset that I say is, anything that I do, I must adopt my mindset, which means I take the responsibility and accountability for ensuring that it is done. If I say that the management has asked me to do it, then I am being driven by somebody else. If I say that the management has discussed with me and therefore I have taken the responsibility to get this done, then when you are a team leader, you will be able to exactly communicate to your people that it is your own and therefore it is the team's own responsibility. Right? The second aspect, in this that I say is when I use the word adopt, the second word that I use is adapt yourself to the changing circumstances.